Welcome to TYTSports RotoWire. I'm Heather Ankeny along with Michael Shure and Chris Liss. We're looking at best teams to buy fantasy players from. Like what system? Team systems. NFL team systems.
Well, you got two competing things, right? You want the team to score the most points, obviously, but you also got to look at distribution of those points, right? The Bears are a great team to have players in because they distribute it to 4 players. Yeah. Matt Forte, Martellus Bennett, Alshon Jeffrey, and Brandon Marshall. They get everything, pretty much, when they're healthy.
Similarly, the Falcons, I think, are that way too. It's Roddy White, Julio Jones. I mean, and it used to be Gonzalez. Now it's just those. But it's that type of an offense.
Julio Jones.
Yeah. But it is Roddy White, and even there was Harry Douglas a little bit for a moment. But it's that type of an offense that you like to buy into as well.
Yeah. Although their running backs are extremely spread out, and Rod is getting I think he's past the peak.
Well, maybe. Yeah. I don't know if
It used to be. Certainly Julio Jones, he's going to get his.
But it's the. I think we're talking about the offensive philosophy of these teams more than.
But does the offensive philosophy always translate to fantasy football?
It depends. I look, like the Bears to me are just the jackpot. There's 4 guys in Cutler, and they always get it to those guys, and even though they've been hurt. I mean, now if they're all healthy, which they are right now, that's going to be great. Okay, but look at the Colts. There's like 5 receivers and 2 running backs, and you don't know who's going. Wayne will get like 6 for 80. Hilton looks like he's becoming that guy.
I think he is. I think it's not even looks like. I think
he got his first scores. The first score
Wayne is your third down reliable.
But T.Y. Hilton got his first score of the year. Okay, because he's a little guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's got to catch. I mean, he looks actually like a great receiver.
Bolden last night.
But he's
That's
a big.
crazy.
Yeah, he got his first. But you got Nix was kind of not really. Dante Moncrief they're using. I'm forgetting somebody else.
Allen. I mean, you're
Dwayne
Allen.
Kobe Fleener will catch touchdowns.
Exactly.
The running backs, I have both these guys, Bradshaw and Richardson. I never know which one to start.
Right.
It's just there's not a clear. But you're right. Hilton has become the guy, but being a small guy is a little harder because they don't. In the red zone, they go to those tight ends. Those tight ends catch. They throw little swing passes to Bradshaw. So it's tougher to know who's going to score the touchdowns. Luck is a monster, but they spread it out. The Saints, Jimmy Graham's there now. He's out a couple of weeks. I should have added Josh Hill to the waivers. He's actually worth looking at.
The Saints are guys that are a team that's always, out of nowhere you get Lance Moore catching one or Devery Henderson. So it was going everywhere all the time. Now they have Cooks and they have, who's the one I'm forgetting? There's
Kenny Stills.
Kenny Stills is exactly right. Yeah. So you don't know where it's going, and so it could go to too many people.
Right, and that's great for the team and for the quarterback, and the quarterback deserves credit for finding the open man, and the coach deserves credit for making it very hard for the defense to figure out who the guy is that's being targeted, although Graham does get his targets when he's healthy. But it is not good for fantasy.
Yeah.
The Packers used to spread it around a lot more. Now it's Jordy and Cobb.
Seriously.
Devontae Adams is the clear 3, and he's good, and that's it. Those are the only 3, and then Lacey and Stark split, and they haven't done that much. Yeah. But that's it. There's 5 guys. There's no tight end that you can really rely on. There's 5 guys.
The question becomes, is it better to be like with a team that does spread it out, or a team where I'm going to take Calvin Johnson. Well, Calvin Johnson's sort of anomalous because he's the best in his craft in a way. But let's say
Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, like Alshon Jeffrey, or let's go. We already talked about Chicago. What about Houston? Like it's going to go to that Johnson's going to get X number of balls. Does that mean you want to get a bunch of Texans, or is that how does that work?
They have 3 guys. They have Hopkins, who's been the leader. They've got Andre Johnson, who's been there a long time and had the best game last week, and you have Foster, right? Yeah. And that is pretty much it. And to me, that's good, right?
It's good, but is that offense one you want? It's still Ryan Fitzpatrick being a quarterback.
That's the problem, right? Yeah. To the overall output. So you've got to balance all these things, right? But I will give you a general rule that I think is true in 95% of circumstances is if you have a guy who is the only game in town, so you're talking about a healthy Julio Jones, and I don't take Roddy White as seriously anymore, okay? Or you're talking about a healthy Des Bryant, Terrence Williams, okay, fine, Jason Witten's a million years old. You have the only game in town versus, and obviously DeMarco Murray, whatever, but I'm taking the passing game. Yeah. Or you have, they can't just cover him, say you have Michael Floyd because they have Fitzgerald, they have this new guy, John Brown, he's going to have the defense kind of split on who's covered. What do you prefer? The guy who gets more coverage, but he's the only game in town, or the guy who has another guy to take the pressure off? Only game in town wins 95% of the time. Yeah. You want the targets, okay? Who cares, right? They still have to cover the other guy. It's not like he's, he's some doofus. I mean, he's going to catch the ball if he's wide open.
Go to the 49ers. You don't want Crabtree, Bolden, or Stevie Johnson more than you want somebody who's the only game in town, and maybe not, or Brandon Lloyd on a team that might not be as good, but they're the only game in town.
Absolutely. If Cecil Shorts keeps getting 15 targets,
You
I'm
want
going to take him
more than
over
any
any
of
of those
those
guys.
49ers. That's
It'll be
interesting.
close with Crabtree if he emerges, because he can sometimes be the number one
right there. I mean, you would take Cecil Shorts over those any 49er receiver.
At this moment, I think Crabtree could still emerge as sort of not the guy, but as the primary guy. So then that would change. But yes, I want the guy getting the targets.